Okay, you guys, today we got a real special guest. He's one of the most controversial people on the internet that commands so much attention. I'm talking about the one, the only Hassan Campbell. What's good with you, Hassan?
Hit him in the head with the headshot. What up? What up?
Yo, you be killing me when you be saying that, bro. Like I see the reactions and how people react when you say that.
Yeah, man. Everybody's the same. I had to bring some different flavor to the internet. Everybody's the same.
Right, right. So how you doing today, man? What's good with you?
Man, God gave me another day to live, to breathe, to fight, to speak life into my people. So that's what we doing.
Yeah, yeah, man. I mean, you can't ask for anything else than that, right? That's the
Right.
best thing when you wake up in the morning. So with my interviews, I really like to paint an image of someone and help the people understand them on a deeper level. So you grew up in Bronx River, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So did you grow up with both of your parents? Did you have any siblings?
Now I grew up my pops, he was on dope. You know what I mean? My pops told me he was on dope since he was 13, but a lot of people didn't know it. So he was tied up in the game. He was a fiend. And mom's was, struggling to raise 6 kids.
Wow. So you had 5 siblings. Were you the youngest, the oldest?
Well, the second oldest on my mother's side, because my father had children too. I have siblings, that come from my father as well. But for the most part, with Mom Dukes, it was 6 of us. So yeah, I'm the second oldest as far as my mother's children.
And what kind of household did you grow up in?
I would say dysfunctional. Just like most people in the hood, dysfunctional. When you hear people in the hood say, "Oh, I was outside busting my gun at 13 years old," your mother was dysfunctional, your father was dysfunctional, your household was dysfunctional.
Right, because functional household would not have you out there doing that. You would have been checked.
Right. A functional household will have you will have a babysitter at 13 years old. You're not watching yourself. You're not raising yourself. But so a lot of people are dysfunctional. Our whole community is dysfunctional. But we gonna definitely get into that.
Right. And would you say that it was like you guys, like you and your siblings, like raising each other?
I mean, my mother was there. This time she wasn't there.
Hmm.
At the end of the day, she was doing like single mothers do. At times we had a stepfather there. And at times that we didn't have nobody but just her. And she still was gonna live her life just like the rest of these females.
Right. And did you like, you said that your dad was a fiend. Did you like witness a lot of things like with him using, or like he just wasn't around entirely?
He really wasn't around. I mean, I seen episodes of my father. He'd come to my house, OD on drugs, and my mother got to call an ambulance and get him up out of there. Yeah, I've seen little things. For the most part, he wasn't really around like that.
So for you being a small kid and witnessing that, like what was that like for you? What kind of like reaction did you have to that?
I mean, when I was a kid, I really didn't understand. I understand more now than what I did then. So, me being a kid, I always wanted my dad around. I couldn't understand why at that time why he wasn't around. As an adult, now I understand and I see as I replay everything, I can fully understand the whole situation.
Right, but I mean like that had to be so traumatic to see like your dad being pulled out on the stretcher and everything and you being confused, like you're not at the level to be able to process what's going on, right?
I mean, I guess for me, it was just life. You had to deal with it. It was no other way. You had to deal with it.
Right. And that's kind of crazy because in the hood you start to normalize things that really aren't normal because it's like kind of like a regular occurrence that you see, right?
Right.
So what kind of a kid were you? Were you like into sports or were you into music right away?
I mean, I was just a regular kid. I would say I was a good kid. They would say I was a bad kid. My uncles used to teach me to curse. I would curse people out at a young age, but for the most part, I wasn't really a bad kid. I was just a kid, being a kid. I think I was a good kid. My mother said I was a pain in the ass. I was a bad kid. I was a pain in the ass, but I think I was a good kid.
And were you into school or were you like, out in the street already?
No, I mean, for the most part, school was never me. I couldn't. I had too much things going on in my life. I could never really function and pay attention in school.
Yeah, most definitely. When you got that much going on in the household and things aren't in order, it's like hard to think about learning math or you know what I mean, like learning these things that seem kind of like trivial in your life.
Yeah.
So you're growing up in the 70s or the 80s?
Well, I was born in '76.
76. Okay. And what was the Bronx like at that time period?
A hellhole. A hellhole. It was Vietnam. It was Vietnam. I mean, I grew up in the crack. I grew up in the midst of the dope era, going into the crack era. I grew up in New York, where New York was like top three in the crime rate. The Alpo, Rich Porter era, where you turn on the TV and you seeing the little McDonald's box. They talking about the McDonald's box and Rich Porter's finger cut off, and what I mean, that era. I grew up in that era. I grew up in the era where the Jamaicans was wilding. When you had different crews from Jamaica running around America, especially New York and Connecticut, and they was bugging. The Jamaicans was on it. You know what I mean? Like, honestly speaking, to really be honest with you, I think the streets of New York is pussy now compared to the era that I grew up in. I just think that, the cameras done civilized it a little bit. Because if it wasn't for these cameras, New York was different.
Yeah, because you can't get away with that much in New York anymore with the amount of cameras, right? So, like you said, like back then, it's like, man, like people was getting away with bodies, all types of shit.
Well, I mean, what people got to understand is, man, in today's time, dudes convict themselves because of the internet. But in my time, we was liars.
Right.
You ask us if we had beef with somebody, we be like, nah, I ain't got no beef with him. And he end up dead the next night, and you will never know who did it. In today's time, people want you to know everybody they got beef, but they want to broadcast it all over the internet. It's a totally different ball game.
They want a lot of times that validity, like kind of like that confirmation from other people. Um, it's crazy. That's why people post all types of things, right? They want that approval from people.
You know what I mean? In my see the difference between today and yesterday. In my era growing up, you had to make a name for yourself first. In today's era, it's like these dudes running around 100 deep. They ain't got to make a name for themselves. They running around 100 deep.
Mm-hmm.
You get caught walking on the wrong block. You really gonna have to fight 100 dudes by yourself or get the blasting.
So when would you say that you started to jump into the streets, and like what did you get involved with at a young age?
Well, I mean, the streets. I would say about 15 years old is when I got full fledged. 15, 16 years, I'm full fledged in the street. I have no choice.
And you out there robbing to eat, like you know what I mean, selling work, or like what are you doing at that time?
I was a stick up kid.
Stick up kid. Okay. So you're growing up in the Bronx and you really got to witness hip hop's growth and development, right? Like what was that like witnessing seeing hip hop grow from something so small?
It was bananas because it's like people don't understand. Bronx River was like how people just seen Yankee Stadium, all of the parties, all the celebrities, all the jams. You would come outside, you look out, you ain't even like I could be on punishment. I could look out the window in Bronx River and see 1,000 people outside my window in the middle of the projects, and you hear Bambada with the "Hey party people, can y'all get funky?" and the whole crowd going wild. That was my whole projects. It was like what I mean. My whole projects was the first family of hip hop.
Right.
A lot of people don't understand that when they be like, "Oh, you went through a door." I went through a door. I was born in Bronx River. No other projects represented rap music, hip hop like Bronx River. Nobody, except for Cedric Ave, and even still with them talking about Cedric over there with Cool Herc. It wasn't as big as Bronx River. I'm sorry. Shout out to Cool Herc.
So at what point do you meet Bambada? Like what age were you?
I've known Bam my whole life. He live in Bronx River. I live in Bronx River. That's what people. It wasn't no certain day that I met him. I've known the man my whole life.
And how did you meet him?
I've known him my whole life. We've been born in the same neighborhood, seeing each other since I was in a stroller. It's just that once I got a certain age, I started more. I guess he started paying more attention to me. I mean, for the most part, at some point in time in my life, my mother kept me from going outside. So when I would actually go outside, I would be going outside, going to the store. So I would that would get me my free time, or I'll be going to the community center in Bronx River where I'm supposed to be doing my homework and they never doing my homework. So you see all the basketball players, you see the rappers coming in there, you see Bam having the meetings in there, you know. So pretty much, because my mother allowed me to go outside, but didn't allow me to go outside, she was strict. I used to have to maneuver my way around to figure out where I wanted to go, how I wanted to do it, and whether I was going to get in trouble. Because when we was growing up and you went outside, that pole light, it was a light at the pole. When that light cut off, you better be upstairs, and my mother be able to. She better be able to look out the window and see you in front of the building.
Right, right. Yeah, that's definitely was the rule for a lot of us growing up. You know, you got to be home before them lights turn off, bro. Um, so it's really important to me to get your story out there, but we know how YouTube is. When you say certain keywords, when you know what I mean, they flag your video, they deem it not suitable, and they suppress it. You know, but in regards to Bam, you've made serious claims about him. And what age did that start to happen for you?
12. I done told people 1,000 times over, but then they sit up there and they take it to 15 and say you was 18. I was in jail at 18. I wasn't even on the streets. I was in jail for murder. So it was like, at the end of the day.
Right, because that's what I noticed too. A lot of people try to claim like you was already fully grown, and they tried to use that against you.
Here's the thing. And I don't think you should. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't think you should waste your whole interview on Bam because it's going to come off boring. I'm gonna tell you that right now. No, the story done been told 1,000 times over, and don't nobody want to hear about him. They don't care. You see what I'm saying? When it comes to him, I've realized over and over again. That's why everybody try to keep me talking back into him. If I'd have kept on talking about Bam, I wouldn't have been able to tackle some of the other topics that I was tackling, like all the troubled young boys, everybody, all these young boys drilling and killing, but nobody asked the question, what happened to them that made them hate life so much that they would throw their life away and kill somebody on camera? It's the same thing that happened to me. They're not going to tell it, though.
Right.
Younger kids would have told their story. Well, why would they tell their story when everybody in the world is watching me being humiliated and watching the industry ignore my situation? Meanwhile, while Africa Bambaataa and the Zulu Nation is sprinkling money all over the internet for people to sit up there and tear my character apart while he's not being seen. He's just doing shows all over the place and hidden. He's hiding.
Yeah. So do you feel like people haven't taken those allegations serious enough?
I feel like everybody got skeletons in their closet. We grew up in an era where 30-year-old men were standing in front of high schools dating young girls. We grew up in an era where everybody heard the rumors about Jay-Z being intimate with Foxy Brown when he was 27 and she was 15 years old. So now R. Kelly's in jail, but Jay-Z's not in jail. When you start to talk about this topic, you're spinning a bottle on a lot of people, and this bottle might land on anybody and everybody.
Right.
So you might have a dude that had a girlfriend. Oh, he's 25. He got a 15-year-old girlfriend, and that was the norm. Whether people said it or not, it was the norm. Mm-hmm. In the Bronx, you could get married with your parents consent at, I think it was like 14 or 15 years old back in the days. It was the norm. So now it's like we have this thing where something a person did 30 years ago, they can get crucified for right now. So nobody wants their secrets to come out. My whole thing is if you did something one time, I don't hold it against you back in the days. If you're not living that lifestyle, God forgives, and I forgive too. But Bambaataa has a history. He's a repeat offender where he builds his legacy off of the backs of the babies in the community.
Right. So you do believe that there should be kind of somewhat of a statute of limitations on things that you've done, but as long as you're not a repeat offender.
I believe that in the era where we grew up, that's just like, for example, you got to be real careful. You have a 19-year-old dealing with a 15-year-old, 16-year-old. They're close in age.
Right.
They're close in age, and sometimes that 15-year-old might be more mature than that 19-year-old. In some cases, she might not be. So even still, they're close in age, and you'll see things like that happen, and people be like, "Oh, he's a pedophile," or he this, he that. Like, no, these are what young kids did because this is what they seen the adults do. You can't tell a 19-year-old he can't partake with a 15-year-old when you sitting up there watching 30-year-old men pull up in their BMWs in front of the school and picking these young girls up, getting them pregnant. 2 or 3 years later, they got 2 or 3 kids later, and nobody want those girls anymore. So now you done taught all the older, the younger people, the younger crowd to go younger. Nobody wants to really go older.
Mm-hmm.
And then even when you have the girls that decide, oh, she gonna date an older dude, give it some time, and that older dude gonna be crying because that younger girl gonna leave that older dude for somebody that looks her age.
Yeah.
I seen it all the time.
So when that's happening to you at 12, what is your immediate reaction?
I mean, it's like it was normal to me because that started happening before Africa Bambaataa. I'd have been molested so many times before that, man, and I said this over and over again. It was a normal thing to me. It became a norm.
So it wasn't even surprising to you when that happened to you from him, because it's research has shown also that it's somehow like if you have been abused before, it's like you almost attract that it will happen. It's more likely to happen to you again.
Man, a predator is a predator. The world is filled with predators. That's the bottom line to that. The world is filled with them. The world is filled with predators.
Right.
And when you sit back and you analyze, when you hear stories about, like, it's like people don't really like to get in depth in a situation, but Africa Bambaataa, like, it's like Dr. York. People try to say Dr. York was framed, but before Dr. York was even arrested, you had 20 years, 30 years before he got arrested, you was hearing these rumors about him. And usually where there's smoke, there's fire.
And so what age did you separate yourself completely from Bam?
I mean, he's always been a part of my life. It's just been a time periods where I was seeing less and less because he was living his life and I was living my life. So there was a time period where I didn't see Bam. Like, I might have seen him once a year, once every other year. We might see each other at an event or certain places or whatever the case may be. Because it wasn't like we wasn't speaking to each other. He raised me. And I say that over and over again. The man raised me. When I went to jail for murder, he was my getaway driver. When I was in jail for murder, he took care of me. When I came home from jail for murder, he took me shopping. Now all this me running around, oh, you were sleeping with the man when you was grown? No, I was not. Plain and simple. He was doing his thing. I was doing my thing. I would see him at certain places. We might have a Zulu. I might have came back around certain Zulu events here and there to see the family, because Zulu Nation was bigger than just Africa Bambaataa. And you see like pictures that I took with Africa Bambaataa that I put up on the internet. People they'll take the same picture, talk about Hassan Campbell exposed. How you going to expose me with pictures that I put on the internet?
Right.
Those are my pictures. I put them up there. It wasn't no secret. I put them up there to prove that I knew Bam, because Bam said he didn't know none of the victims. So instead of people sitting up there saying, well, Bam said he didn't know none of the victims, why is Hassan Campbell in pictures with him? Nope. Here's Hassan Campbell being exposed. They flipped the switch.
So that has to be like some feelings of confliction there, right? Like you have to be conflicted because while he did those things to you, at the same time, you're saying that he raised you. So he took care of you to a certain extent, right?
When I was going through troubles with my mother and found myself in the streets, I had somewhere to stay, and that was his house. Point blank, period. But I'm gonna tell you right now, you keep on digging into him, you're not gonna get no views on your video, because don't nobody care. They don't care. And you need to understand that they don't care. You see me go through a situation, just with the KRS-One, right?
Right.
Because some of my friends was posting up KRS-One, and everybody know that KRS-One put the audio out with the video out with himself saying that Bam has to be unfallible, and called me an FBI agent. And hip hop is going to support who? Some people felt divided. Now, years later, the 50th year anniversary come around, and it's like, people show they didn't care. People that I know that's supposed to be cool with me, they know about what happened. They don't care. So it's like it's a waste of time. Dr. Umar Johnson's talking about, I use my situation to get popular. I use my situation to vent, to give myself therapy. And because I became more popular than him, and now nobody really cares about that Back to Africa movement, that fake ass Back to Africa movement where you don't see him in Africa, but he trying to sell Africa to America. Like, get out of here with that. The conscious community, the conscious movement, the Back to Africa movement, it's over. More and more people are starting to realize this is America or a Mexican, and this is where we from. This is where we built our pyramids at. This is where we built our legacy at. This is the house of the home of milk and honey, the land of milk and honey. You cut off all technology. The only thing you need is food, water, and shelter. And America got plenty of food, water, and shelter. This is what we good for. We feed over 500 different countries with foods from our crops. So as far as the Back to Africa thing, man, that selling Africa is getting tiring. The new generation, they don't want to hear it. We don't care about it.
Have you had a chance to speak with Dr. Umar directly?
Why wouldn't he reach out to me after he sat up there? Now he's seeing all the backlash that I'm getting from, and all the emotions that's going out, dealing back with this topic again that got me nowhere, but abused all over the internet. It's like, why am I sitting up there talking about my struggle and what happened to me when nobody cares? They make fun of me. They laugh. They tease me. Then my kids got to sit back and watch this on the internet. And then people tell me, oh, you're not done with your fight. The hell with you to tell me I'm not done with a fight that y'all jumping me. Africa Bambaataa ain't got no lashes. I've been whipped like a runaway slave.
Right.
He practiced the evils that the colonizers practiced on us during the days of slavery. And I'm the one being victimized all over again. So it's like, it's every man for himself. It is what it is. I'll tell my story, or I'll fight for those that I can fight for. But I realize that we ain't in this together. It's every man for himself.
So what keeps you going? What keeps you strong if you feel like nobody cares about your story?
I mean, the reality of it is I had no choice but to be strong. I got children looking at me. I have no choice but to be strong because I know there's other people out there mentally going through what I'm going through. And every day I get somebody in my DM telling me I saved their life by fighting the fight that I'm fighting and showing them how to be strong.
Right. I mean,
I'm dealing with the school of hard knocks, man. The shit that they taught me in the classroom can't compete to the shit that I learned in the streets in real life.
That's facts. But I mean, you got to feel like some people do care though, right? You got a big following. You got like 500,000 subscribers. People pull up 5,000 watching you live and stuff. So do you think that they're watching you to just because of the controversy? They're watching you to make fun of you, or are they watching you because they do care about your story?
There's some people that care, and then some people it's just entertainment. Some people is just watching to be nosy. Some people are just watching because they want to see my downfall. I've had people sat up there and predicted that I would kill myself. So they was watching for me to spiral out of control because they knew that the fight that I was fighting was unbearable and I had to do this by myself. So they watch and antagonize me, make fun of me, took sliced up videos. I've even had dudes, go out there and create like for example, one of the dudes that passed away, I forget his name, on Front Street. He got murdered. And I thank God for that. He got murdered. He got his TV turned off, snotbox rocking it. It was so relieving because this dude actually went out and got a dope fiend. He would throw $20 in the toilet and make the dope fiend dig the $20 out of the toilet with doodle in it so that he could give him dope.
That's crazy.
And he took this same dope fiend, put him on the couch, sat a camera in front of him, and had this dope fiend accuse me of molesting him. Like, grown ass man at that. Sit up there talking about, oh, Hassan Campbell got a mole on his butt. Like, wow. He got a mole with hair on his butt. Like, wow.
Why do you think somebody would hate you to that extent, to go to lengths like that to try to put some claims on you? You think the people are just sick, or like they I don't know, like what is the reason?
I believe that they was on Africa Bambaata's payroll.
Wow.
The Shanks Kings, the Wax Dogs, like periodically they'll create a new person to attack me. That where it'd be like, hold up, this dude been making videos about Hassan Campbell for years. Why he just ain't go away now? You don't even know me. They befriend you on the internet, then they start attacking you.
So when was the last? Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was saying, when was the last time that you even had a conversation with Bam?
The last time I had a conversation with Bam was when all the stuff came out with Ron Savage, and pretty much certain people was talking about killing me because Ron Savage made the front paper accusing Africa Bambaataa of being a.
And what was that conversation like?
Well, I mean, it was me flipping, straight up flipping. I was straight flipping because it's like, I didn't even know Ron Savage, and niggas was talking about killing me. Next thing you know, it led to me being on Star's platform telling my story.
Mm-hmm. And what was Bambaataa saying during this conversation?
It wasn't really. I mean, we didn't really have much of a conversation. I cursed him out, got tight, and went on Star. That conversation didn't last long. It didn't last long.
So I can't imagine the kind of trauma that has all of this has caused you, right? It's clearly affected your entire life, because when you experience something on that kind of level, it's like you're a prisoner to that pain. It ruins your life, right? When I watch your lives and you're saying you don't care if you live, you're waging a war against this group. The fans, they asked me to ask you, like, don't you want to be there for your family and for your kids?
That's a stupid ass question. They see me here for my family and my kids. It's dumb. It's just a stupid question. They see me here. They see me under attack, and they not saying what could we do to assist you. They're not sitting up there saying, "Yo, is there any more survivors? How can we find them? How can we help them? How can we take care? How can we bring this man down?" The stupid question people keep asking is, why did he keep going back? That's the dumbest question in the world. And at this point in time, I refuse to even answer it. Because once you ask that question of why I kept going back, after I done answered it 1,000 times over, now you telling me just fuck me. You don't give a fuck about what I have to say. You don't give a fuck about my story. You don't even give a fuck about if there's more victims. That's what you're saying. Because a real man, the court system, the district attorney, the FBI, they're going to look to see if there's more victims. They're not sitting up there trying to criticize somebody that they feel like, oh, this nigga look like his life then got better at time. Like when you see Ron Savage crying on the internet, and he sit up there saying, he took my life. I took your life? Or did you see me come out on Africa Bambaataa on Facebook and then turn around and let niggas get in your ear and you told your story, and then now you recant and said Bam didn't molest you, it was a misunderstanding, he thought you was 18.
Right.
Clearly as day you can see he got paid off.
Yeah, I saw that live when you were saying like, oh, you made a mistake or whatever when Bam was doing that to you, right? Your most recent one when you were saying that your heart turned cold, that live, you were talking about that.
Right. See, the thing about it is most of the people that's asking you to ask me questions are FBI agents, or rather child molesters are working for the Zulu Nation. Africa Bambaataa got $20 million for that hip hop museum. My fans don't want to hear about child molestation. They don't at all. Absolutely not. They've been watching me for over 7 years. They're not asking me stories when they done see me go on over 20 different platforms to tell my story.
Right.
So the ones that's getting in contact with you that wants to hear the same thing over and over again is only looking to try to trip me up in my story, period.
So they trying to catch you in a lie, you're saying?
They're trying to trip me up. Because the reality of it is, no, nobody's wasting their time. When you see me on Math Hoffa platform, the first thing Math Hoffa is talking about what? Yo, what happened with Takashi? What happened with this rap? They trying to get the juicy shit. Don't nobody want to talk about a fat dude named Bambaataa.
Have you even considered taking legal action against him?
I mean, at one point in time, I went and got a lawyer and didn't know that Ron Savage had the same lawyer, and Ron Savage sabotaged the case.
Wow, that's crazy.
So they threw the case out, and I said enough was enough because I told people from the jump, I'm not going to court anyway. I'm not a court nigga. I'm a street nigga.
So the situation with KRS-One, right? He came out and he called you a Fed. Have you had any conversations with people close to him or him directly?
I mean, there's nothing to talk about. There's nothing to talk about. What is there to talk about? We are forever enemies. He understood. He understood what he was saying when he called me a fag. Everybody knows that Bam is a predator. He made it clear. We have to make our leaders infallible. So what? So what? Question is, what is the people going to do with it?
Do you think that he defended Bam or basically tried to like dirty up your name because he believes that Bam is not, or that he just doesn't want that negative stigma attached to hip hop in some kind of way?
He's in hip hop. He's in the music industry. The music industry is a satanic cult that plays with children, just like Hollywood. We got to stop playing stupid now. We hear all the rappers talking about the door of sacrifice, the door of homosexuality. What they don't talk about is the door of bestiality and the door of pedophilia. It's all part of hip hop.
Right. And that's a good segue, because you do hear all these rappers bring up that whole, oh, the door, are you going to choose to go through it, or I've been approached, or some kind of thing. You know what I mean? Have you spoke with celebrities and they've told you directly about that?
Of course.
Is there anybody that you can actually say, or no?
I'm not like, I don't like, I've learned the celebrities that are in contact with me, that speak to me. I learned to keep my mouth shut because I know that the whole industry is watching me, but they act like they don't see me. That's how I lost my monetization. I have all eyes on me. That's how y'all can see me go from having 10,000 people. I'd have had 30,000 people watching me at a time. 27,000, 10,000, 30,000, 11,000, 12. Like, my numbers was crazy. Then out of the blue, they started sabotaging me. I didn't die off.
Right. And you think that that's somebody contacting YouTube directly to do it, or you think that's someone at YouTube just doing it?
It's a connection. It's a cult. YouTube is ran by the occult. You can't talk about certain things on YouTube. You can't talk about, say, certain titles. You can't talk about child victims on YouTube.
Right.
Why is that? But you could play drill music where niggas is killing each other and then making a song about it, and then they get paid by YouTube for it. Like, come on, man.
And then that's why you were talking about you switching over to Rumble, right? Because over there is more of a free platform. You don't get paid as much, though, unfortunately, but you can say what you want.
Shit, I heard in some cases you get paid more.
Oh, really?
I don't know. I haven't really started working my Rumble yet, but I'm about to. But I'm definitely gonna start working Rumble. Patreon.com, Hassan Campbell.
It's crazy because you look at it, if you have money behind you, then you can get away with stuff, because these platforms, they choose when they want to apply the community guidelines, right? Like, you can look at somebody like Lil Nas X and he could be up there dancing half naked on and doing all types of crazy stuff, but because there's money behind him through the record labels, then it's okay for him. But like you said, if you start cussing too much or you start saying key words, then they'll demonetize you.
Right. Yeah, they're picking. It's an agenda, right? Celebrity gossip. They use celebrity gossip to distract you. So certain people, certain videos, you hit celebrity gossip topics, they'll push certain topics that they want to push in the algorithm to keep you stupid. They spend billions of dollars to keep you distracted, to keep you looking in the opposite direction of what's really going on in this world. And that's why niggas like Umar Johnson bring me back to, oh, you got to get back on Africa Bambaataa. Why would I talk about Africa Bambaataa when I could talk about what's going on in Hawaii? Why would I talk about Africa Bambaataa when California just got hit with a hurricane and an earthquake at the same time for the first time? Why are we talking about Africa Bambaataa when there's a bigger picture going on? When we get ready to go back down, we get ready to go through another shutdown, another lockdown.
Right.
You got viruses in the lab being mutated.
So your whole
15 minute cities being structured and built right now as we speak.
So is it your plan to switch away from hip hop and go into more worldly issues? Things that are affecting our people that people aren't really even talking about?
I'm going to do both. I already told my story, so why keep telling my story? Now there's other people that have stories to tell. And eventually in the future, that's what I'm going to get into, letting people tell their stories of what they've been through, exposing the creeps in their life. Celebrity gossip, I'm always going to speak about these celebrities because these celebrities are misleading the youth. They destroyed the up and coming generation, and they consistently do that. They go live in their rich mansions and come back to the hood and sell them poverty. So I'm never going to let up off of them. And now this industry has gotten hip to Hassan Campbell, like, yo, this nigga's waking too many people up. So now they trying to water down my message and push niggas like Charleston White over me. So whereas when you look at Charleston White's platform, he's not doing the numbers that I'm doing on his own platform. So they'll have all the bigger platforms like Say Cheese and them other guys push him. They having a machine push him. Rock Nation coming to get a dude that done violated everybody in the industry. You can see clear as day that there's an agenda with Charleston White.
Right.
He's a fatal distraction.
So, since you already brought up Charleston, right? I know at one point you said that he stole like your whole style. What did you mean by that?
Of course. I mean, come on, look at, like, first of all, he watches my lives, and every live that I do, somebody will ask him the same questions, or he'll sit up there and bring up the same exact thing that I spoke about in the live. If I'm beefing with somebody, I'm beefing with Wack 100. Now all of a sudden he got beef with Wack 100. I'm beefing with Jay Prince. Now all of a sudden he got beef with Jay Prince. He's a chameleon. And Charleston White will do, if he see me go viral, he'll do something to say something real tacky, and then he'll have 30 different platforms actually push what he said. But you notice, I done had some of the most controversial like things going on this internet, but it seems like the whole internet is against me. You don't see the machine reaching out. You don't see Nori. Nori's a hip hop channel. Why Nori ain't say, yo, let me get Hassan Campbell's story up here when it was hot. Now the truth of the matter is I don't want to talk about Bam no more.
Right.
It's like, for what? That's the most boringest shit going on. Everybody knows the story. Nobody's kid. It's like, okay, cool. I'm not going to be stuck on Bambaataa. It's not going to go nowhere. And I guarantee you, when you put this video up and you put these segments up talking about him, you ain't going to do no numbers. Nobody's going to watch it. As soon as they see the title with Bam in it, you just wasted a whole interview. They're not going to watch it.
So why do you think that people have a hard time believing your story? Do you think
people don't have a hard time believing my story? They don't want to believe my success. People stopped liking me when they started seeing me actually. I was on YouTube for 2 years without getting paid. I didn't know I could get paid. Genuine, standing my ground. As soon as I hit the monetize button and they watch me get super chat and donations, that's where the hating come from. Don't nobody want to see you successful. Well, you done watch me making videos around my yard and around my house, and the next thing you know is like the house that they told you don't belong to me. You see me 1 minute it's regular, next minute you say, oh shit, this nigga got a pond in his yard. It looks like a botanica. You can see a nigga that spent $1 million.
But do you think that people are mesmerized by celebrities, so they feel like, yo, they couldn't possibly do such a thing?
People are like cattle, like sheep. They have broken brains.
Especially today.
They do exactly what the powers that be want them to do. They're slaves. They're mentally enslaved. They haven't got the shackles off their brains.
Especially with the smartphones.
But some of us got eyes to see. I go against the grain. Some people worship celebrities. I come from an era where we rob celebrities, man. We
Mhm.
rob them. These niggas come from an era, or they on a different path where they see the success of some of these rappers and they want to be behind them. Not me. There's no room for the children of God sitting at Satan's table.
Have you had any celebrities tell you that they believe you?
Of course.
But
I mean, first of all, you had Lord Jamar speak up. You done had Peter Guns just recently, not too long ago, go on Queen's Flip platform and speak up and say he's known. Everybody's known Bam to be a creep.
right.
Why you think Bam is quiet? People ask the stupidest questions. The question should be, why is Africa Bambaataa so quiet? Why was he not at the 50th anniversary of hip hop? Why is he not never in that museum and pushing and standing his ground? Why is he not fighting for his reputation as the godfather of hip hop and getting these allegations off his back? But then again, maybe he is. That's why Hassan Campbell was being attacked all over the internet.
That's a good point, man. So to bring it back to Charleston White, right? Don't you think that that's crazy how like he has such a big following and people are always saying, well, he's doing good in the community, he's doing all these things, but like he goes on the internet and just wows out. He just goes crazy. So at the end of the day, it's like, what are you really showing the people?
Charleston White is deep cover. He's an agent. He done already done spoke out and said he done, bottom line to it, Charleston White is government, man.
Mm.
And all the things that people say he did in the community, you can't see it. It's all an act. It's an act. Right now, he's a fatal distraction to keep you off the real things, the real topics. 1 minute he'll jump into those real topics. He used those real topics to make him popular. He used those real topics to captivate the minds of the people because he saw that was the page that I was on. He merged into my lane. And now, like he said, he's a comedian that's only getting paid $700.
That's crazy.
I mean, look at Charleston White's page. Look at his followers. It's not bigger than mine. Look at the videos. When he put a video match my video, look at the numbers. When he go live, he does not have the crowd that's following him. He's only being pushed by bigger platforms. So the numbers look bigger on a bigger platform. But when he's on his platform, he can't fuck with me. And some people don't like that because some people like him better than me. But the numbers is not showing.
Mm-hmm.
The numbers is not showing.
What is the situation with Wack? Have you guys fixed that?
It can't be fixed with me and Wack. Wack is a gatekeeper who tried to sit down with me and set me up, and it backfired. He didn't think that I was going to move around as strong as I did. He was supposed to humiliate me at the interview, and he couldn't do it. I was too strong. So when he got back to Clubhouse, he started talking shit about me. Instead of doing it in my face, he was just with me the day before.
So when you're saying that he's a gatekeeper, you're saying that he's being controlled by the powers that be?
Of course he is. Of course he is. Tekashi 6ix9ine was banned from the industry when he came home from jail. Nobody was rocking with him. He did that interview with me, Academics, and Wack 100, and they used me to propel him and sell his album. And next thing you know, the controversy behind him was so big, he was doing shows immediately. He wasn't doing no shows. COVID had everything locked down. He wasn't doing no shows because the radio stations wasn't playing him. Wack 100 had the key to the door. He unlocked the key to the door and tried to sabotage me at the same time. Then went on the internet, went to Clubhouse, and gave out audio telling everybody that, I got somebody at YouTube that's sabotaging Hassan Campbell's YouTube career. It's over for him.
But
Academics told me before I lost my monetization that I was going to lose my monetization. And he told me exactly how I was going to do it. And it happened the same way he said it. So, yeah, I was sabotaged. And still being sabotaged.
But, Wack says a lot of things. And a lot of times people feel like it's just for entertainment.
Well, he says a lot of things, but it really happened to me. And even still, when y'all watch my live, y'all see 5,000-6,000 people in my live. Then they'll pull it all the way down to 2,000, 3,000. Then the people will come back and they pull them all the way back down. People don't watch this. You don't see people in the comment section saying, "Yo, they're not accepting your super chat." So then when I start talking about the super chat, then they get more determined and they'll put super chat in there.
So with academics, right? Do you guys have a good relationship still?
Me and Ack is cool.
How did he know that Wack was going to be able to do that to you?
Use your common sense, because they having conversations behind the scenes and Wack got a big mouth. Wack has a potty mouth. His mouth is like a toilet.
Do you think that academics is in on that type of stuff too?
I mean, I would never be able to tell. I would hope not, because academics is successful. He's one of the best in the game. You could only wish that you've made it to academics level, but the reality of it is, I know my derailment came from that circle. From that sit down.
Mm-hmm. So at one point you said that you robbed Fat Joe when you were like 13 years old, right?
I've never said that. What I said was, when Fat Joe came to the community center, he was walking through Bronx River, and I wanted to rob Fat Joe, but Fat Joe had a team of niggas with him, and we got into a little face off, and Africa Bambaataa came running out of the center. He stopped it because somebody told him. It was about to get real ugly. I was a young kid at the time. I never robbed Fat Joe. That's a lie. I'm not gonna lie on that man. One thing I'm not gonna do is lie on somebody. I never robbed him.
So did you ever have like a personal relationship with him?
Nah, I never had a personal relationship. I've been around, him. I've been around him in the past, but I've also been around his brother Money Man. But I was a young man running with BO, so they didn't really know me like that. I was in the streets young.
Right. Where did the beef with Joe even start from?
I don't have no beef with Joe. My only beef with Joe is me losing my monetization right after he declared me an enemy to hip hop with the allegations against Africa Bambaataa and brought up my story without bringing up my name. An hour and a half later, I lost my monetization. So it wasn't hard to figure out that I was being targeted.
Right. Yeah. He's addressed you a few times, but it was more like he didn't say your name, but everyone knew who he was talking about. Joe has always, stayed away from the subject because he says he doesn't know anything about it. Right. He doesn't know if it's true. But he says YouTubers, they don't got any credibility, and they should get real jobs.
Well, the reality of it is, I'll say this again. Before I took my videos down, I had over 1 billion streams on YouTube. Fat Joe's never reached that level in his life. Never. Fat Joe has never, ever, ever, even with me every day consistently, when me posting videos, coming back on YouTube, he can't compete with the numbers that I do.
What made you want to take down the videos?
Because I knew I was being set up. There was videos that I had that they were saying went against YouTube's community guidelines that they left up. So now when I go to get my monetization back, you don't know which video, so I took everything down.
Right. That's smart.
It's nothing to me to take the videos down, because the reality of it is, as long as I have an intellectual brain, I can repeat and say whatever I have to say. I don't need the catalog, because the truth of the matter is, even with my old videos, after a 24-hour period, YouTube don't play my videos no more. They stop them. I was getting 100,000 views every single day, sometimes on 5 or 6 videos for 3 years straight. Nobody was doing numbers like that, unless it was an academics. And even with academics, he wasn't posting videos every day like that. Every video was a hit.
I know you said that you love people from Joe's side, right? He be around some real dudes like Percy and people in KR. If I'm not mistaken, you said that you was locked up with Pistol Pete at one point.
I was never locked up with Pete. I met Pete outside around my peoples.
Okay.
I was never locked up with Pete. I was locked up with Pistol Pete, the real Pistol Pete, not the real Pistol Pete, not KAR Pistol Pete. Those are 2 different Petes.
Right. So what's the relationship with Pete like?
Which one are you talking about?
The KR one, sorry, KR.
Me and Pete don't really know each other like that. I've seen him on the block. I met him around my people. He's cool. There's other dudes, like I said. There's other my peoples is my nigga Ant, my nigga T Mac. Those are my peoples. Miami is cool. I met Miami. Miami is a cool dude. You know what I mean? Miami's one of the dopest dudes. You know, Peter's a dope dude. So I give respect and show love to some of them dudes because I see them out there on the block. We be on the block, on the same block, on the same block. We see each other. You know, and those are dope dudes. My personal issue was with some of the things that Joe did and how Joe moved. And that's it. Everybody like, listen, man, real niggas is not gonna be ass kissers. A real nigga not gonna agree. Like some of my brother T Mac, for example, he don't agree with everything I say or do. He's not an ass kisser. He got his own mind. I don't even want nobody around me that's a yes man.
Right, because you need that person to check in with you to make sure that they're letting you know the real. If you look in a certain way out here or whatnot.
See, my whole thing is like, at the end of the day, man, everybody gotta walk their own path because the same way somebody could point out faults with me, I could point out faults with them. Everybody's not gonna agree with me and my lifestyle, but if you notice and you pay attention to the shit that people say about me, oh, he don't go outside. But then when I go outside with 1,000 niggas, it's like, oh, he's a hypocrite. Nobody congratulates me from always being in the house with my kids. I figured out a way to how to get money in the house and take care of my family. And you ain't outside. There's nothing outside but trouble. And the niggas that try to convince you to go outside, it's like, damn, I done see some of the illest killers get killed on the blocks. But then you have dudes talking about we outside. So what does that mean when you say that you outside? What does that mean for the nigga that got busy? The real niggas that got busy, that got murdered. What that means? You tougher than them? Because you still alive?
Nah, man, you speaking facts. That's a really good point. You out here and you found a way to make money and you taking care of your family. That should be commended. Especially like you said that you came from a household where your dad wasn't around, right? So you stepping up and you being that father figure that you didn't have.
Right.
So has anyone behind the scenes in Joe's camp reached out to you to try to squash it?
There's nothing really to squash. It's if I had beef with Joe, it would be on. I don't have beef with Joe. I have an opinion and have a feeling about certain things that I don't like. I'm not looking for Joe. I'm not hunting for Joe. And I'm pretty sure Joe ain't hunting for me. Joe got soldiers. Joe's not looking for, well, maybe he is. I don't know. But Haas ain't scared of nobody. Haas don't back down. Haas get busy. It is what it is.
So you're not getting any serious threats or anything from that side?
Hell no. Let me tell you something, man. Once a nigga that I know that got a face on him threaten me, then I'm gonna see you on the block. Whatever block that is, we'll see each other. Because I don't play with, like, I get death threats every day. But to identify somebody that I can sit up there and say, okay, I know this is the block they be on. I know this is gonna be the club where they at. It'll be on with me. Real niggas don't talk anyway. If a nigga gonna do something, they gonna do something. The caliber of niggas that I know that's in the street that's around Joe, they don't even play these internet games at all. If they was gonna come check you and they was gonna say something to you, they would never put it on the internet. Nobody would never even know. You just found out when y'all see each other.
Right. So at one point you ended up apologizing to Joe, right? And there was kind of like a truce that didn't really last that long. What happened with that?
I didn't really apologize to Joe. What I did was, see, that's the people. What I did was dead the situation based off of dudes that we both have around us that I got love for.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? And some of these dudes, I don't even like to throw their name out there because niggas is heavy in the streets. Some niggas don't want their name on the internet because as soon as you mention their name, the FBI's involved. So everybody don't want their name on this internet. So it wasn't so much of me apologizing to Joe. It was so much of me just saying, you know what? Let's have a truce here. But then when he spoke on Africa Bambaataa, see, I'm gonna be real with you. I'm gonna be 110% real with you, right? Some of my brothers came home from jail, and I said, you know what? The circles is too close. Before I end up starting a war on the streets, let me fall back off of Joe. Right? Personally, if my mans didn't come home from jail, I would have never fell back off of Joe. I don't like him. So when he spoke on Africa Bambaataa and that music, the hip hop museum, and accused us of trying to destroy hip hop without saying my name, it set me on fire when they took my monetizations and I lost hundreds of thousands of dollars, minimum $100,000. And I lost that because I know I would have made that better, way better than that. When he did that, oh, he really, really, really like. There's no love for him. And I was trying to be cool and trying to be cool and trying to be cool. But when this 50th anniversary of hip hop came and I started seeing my friends celebrating KRS-One, I said, all the gloves is off. I don't care about nobody no more.
Right, because
I don't care about nobody's. I don't care about nobody's feelings. And if it's on with me, I'll stand tall by myself. I don't care. I don't need nobody to roll with me when I know I'm right. I'm fighting one of the biggest and the ugliest fights I've ever fight in my life, which is child molestation. Right? And it just so happened to me. And see, the problem with these niggas, right? I'm gonna tell you what the problem is. If I sit up there and I say, "Hey, yo, Panda, what you gonna do if that was your son?" The first response is, "What's your response?" If that was your child, what would you have done in this situation?
I'm going to jail because I'm going to kill somebody.
Now, these same niggas are telling me the same thing if I asked them if that was their son or their little brother. I'm going, that nigga be dead already. But they're going to tell me, yo, you got to chill, you bugging. So basically what you're saying is F me. You don't think I'm not worth fighting for myself and all other people that's been through what I've been through. That's what you're telling me. So I look at people different now because people will sell you out for hip hop just to stand next to a rapper. Because the reality of it is, these rappers, like Joe, for example, you'll see him put a chandelier on his arm, $4 million watch, when the hood is starving. The hood is starving.
I never understood that, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Like, especially people that come back to the hood. Because it's like a lot of people feel like, oh, you inspiring somebody, but I don't really think so. It's like they hungry. People are hungry, barely making ends meet.
Let me tell you something. When I go back to the hood, is to show love to my brothers out there. But the truth of the matter is, for every one of my dudes that got love for me, there's a nigga in this camp that hate me on the low. You can feel the energy. For every one of my dudes that got love for me, there's a nigga in the circle that got a side eye. Every time I go back to the hood, there's somebody calling on the phone saying, yo, this nigga out here right now trying to line me up. It's just that I'm the type of nigga that it is what it is. You're not going to just like whatever. Like when you run down on me, you better be prepared. The same thing you think that you're going to give me, you better be prepared for me to give you. You better be very prepared. Because even when I look like I'm by myself, I'm never by myself. You better be prepared.
So you felt like Joe owed you an apology or a conversation at least, right? Because you basically lost out, like you said, on $100,000 easy.
Joe went to the hood. He reached out to my brother T-Mac in the hood. He pulled up on him in the block, and you know they got history with each other. Joe has a great deal of respect for Mac, so he ain't come out there. Don't get it twisted. He ain't come out there and intimidate him because they pretty much grew up around each other, whatever the case may be. And then he reached out. He had his manager reach out to Hocus 4/5. And see, my whole thing is that I know when he spoke to Mac, Mac told him, Haas ain't a nigga that's gonna back down, nigga. You got the wrong one. They're intimidating, pulling up on the block with 300 and 400 niggas with you. That's not going to work. Because if you pull up on the block and I'm standing on the block and you got 300 and 400 niggas with you, you're not even getting out the car. That car going to make a U-turn and it's going to have to leave abruptly. You're not going to approach me like that. When you approach me with caution.
And you said that his manager reached out to Hocus?
Yeah.
To broker like a peace treaty or what?
He didn't want that. He doesn't want he did not want that interview with TA coming out. He said it's two sides to every story. He knows TA knows things that can destroy him, that'll make him look real, real bad. But right now, Joe is using social media to float on Cloud9. He used the 50th anniversary, and now he all over Instagram promoting himself, celebrating life. I'm not trying to stop Joe from celebrating life. I just want to know who's Shakita.
Right. Oh, because you
I want to know who's Shakita. I want to know. I want to know how is it that you sat up there and you told people that if a man is a pedophile and he played with little kids, he should die. But all along, you had a 15-year-old girl named Shakita. You had a 15-year-old girl named Shakita allegedly that you called snakes on a plane. And then when I sat up there and seen the clip of him having another situation where you sexually assaulted a woman in a hotel, and I'm like, whoa! But this is the dude that's speaking on my life. Wow, the nerve of you! You the same thing Africa Bambaataa was.
so you did the interview with TA, but you said that you didn't like the audio, so you guys are going to go do it in person, right?
Yeah, I did the interview with him, but I didn't really care for the audio, whatever the case may be. Plus, on top of that, TA voice needs to be heard because I'm sick and tired of dudes like Fat Joe having dudes like TA behind the scenes in the music industry, and then when they done with him, kick him to the curb.
Yeah, and it's something that happens more than people realize too.
Yeah, kick dudes to the curb. Like it's like, yo, what are you doing? You just gonna kick him to the curb? That's just it. He ain't worth nothing no more. All the life experiences, but that it is what it is. Nigga kick you to the curb before he pay you, even though he got the money to pay you. You just not worth that penny. It is what it is, though. Because at the end of the day, this life is short, man. We all going towards the grave, and I believe everybody gonna answer for the things that we did wrong.
Right.
We all gonna have to atone for that.
How did you? How did he find out that you did the interview with TA?
He didn't find out. He knew that it was coming,
Right.
or I guess he knew from TA just from TA flipping out. Bottom line to it, he didn't want it to happen.
But you did do that video a while ago where you said interview coming soon, where you had talked.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. So then,
Right. Probably from that. He didn't want that to happen because the bottom line to it is he knows he has a lot of allegations of him doing some foul stuff, and then to come from your ghostwriter, a nigga that was with you while you was doing this, it doesn't look good at all.
but especially because your platform is so big. Because I did the interview with TA, but my platform's a lot smaller compared to yours. So he knows that it's going to reach so many more people that they'll have to pay attention now.
Well, that's another reason why they dumbing down my numbers. Because normally, if I put TA on my platform, he probably have 400,000 people that watch it, maybe even a million. Now, if you look at my numbers, they're trying to keep me down in the 30,000s unless I do a live. Because when I'm live, people can see that I'm live, so the number it breaks the algorithm a little bit. So now it might creep back up to 80, 100,000 on them lives.
So if you have a conversation with Joe, what is the conversation going to be like? Like, what are you going to talk to him about?
At this point in time, it's nothing for me and Joe really to talk about. I just don't like him. I stay away from him. When you don't like somebody, you stay away from them. I let them niggas stay over there, and I stay over here because the reality of it is I know what type of person you are. There's nothing that you can tell me that's going to make me look at you any different. While Bambaataa was running around playing with the little boys, Joe was running around playing with Shakita.
Right.
Allegedly. You see what I'm saying? What are we going to talk about? And all the niggas that run around, that be running around, that know this stuff, that overlooks it, they ain't no different. I can't respect you as a man. So you be your way to me be my way. It is what it is.
So you definitely think that the people that are aware of the situation and they stand by him, you just at fault as much as he is for doing it because you.
Of course, because we supposed to be a village, a community, a village, and we're not. It's like Bishop Eddie Long. As long as you in a position and you got a big following, people will let you get away with murder.
Can you elaborate on the Liza Rios situation? You said that you lived in the same building as she did at one point.
She was living in my building homeless. After Pun died, I watched that woman become homeless. She lost her place. The only thing she had of Pun's was Pun's truck. She was living on the 7th floor in my building with Rachel.
And who is Rachel?
Rachel is one of my, she was one of my neighbors. And she
But
was
do you know
also
her relation? You know her relation to Liza?
I don't know what their relationship was, but I know she took her in. And I know that Liza was living there in my building with Rachel. And I know that that was foul to see that Fat Joe was on top of the world and had that woman living homeless, and she had to take him to court to get $2 million out of his grimy ass. That was grimy.
Did you ever have a conversation with her while she was living in the building?
High and by, that's it.
But you knew that that Joe was behind basically not paying her and had her fucked up.
Well, I mean, Liza got to tell her story. Whenever she ready, she got to tell her story because I can't tell her story for her. But people done heard enough. There's enough out there already.
So with the situation with TA, right? Like you had the conversation with him, the interview and everything. Did that open up your eyes even more about what kind of dude Joe really is, or did you already know?
You could already see his resume. You could already see what he is. But as far as like him talking about the Shakita chick and some of the other situations that's been going on in them hotels, it's like well he got to tell his story because I feel like even in your interview with him, there's a lot that TA held back.
Yeah,
he he was lenient on Joe. There's a lot he held back that I spoke to him about, and it's like wow. That's why you got to be careful traveling with them entourages, man. You got to be careful, real careful.
Yeah, I felt like he barely scratched the surface. Like there's a lot more.
There's a hell of a lot more that it's like, man, listen, but that's the industry life, man. That's the industry. That's why you got to be very careful going on them tours playing with them groupies. Just because a girl decides to sit in your presence doesn't mean that you have the right to stick your hands in her crotch.
Right. I mean, when you look at it, right, the resume that Joe has as far as like you got Cuban Link, TA, Charlie Rock, Liza, just so many different people have said similar things about the way that he operates. At some point, you got to, I mean, there's a common denominator in all of it.
Well, I mean, it is what it is, man. There's so much more to talk about as far as like the way he treat people. You got to ask yourself a question now: why is he around all these politicians? What role that Joe has in politics, or is the government using Joe to infiltrate these streets? Because we moving towards critical times where they have to have control of the streets, and I'm seeing certain things that I just don't like. Joe's always with the mayor, even with Oprah. Like, what role are you playing?
And that's another thing that people have said. They've said like in recent years, his like celebrity status has gone to another level, even without an album coming out. Right now, he's on like these talk shows. He's got the book. He's got so many shows coming and everything. And it's like right when he started to work with Rock Nation, it kind of like catapulted him to another level.
He's a puppet. And what you got to understand is he's a gatekeeper to the streets. He has the power to be in the streets and as well as to be in the industry. The industry is an illusion. They keep us looking towards these rappers and these actors to keep us distracted. Joe has enough power now because of certain individuals that's in the street where that he could actually sit up there and persuade the people at a time where we live in critical times. But what I tell people is like, the industry is a door. If you made it through the industry's door, nine times out of 10, you're not going to make it into paradise. The same people that control this industry is the same people that killed Jesus. So if Jesus returned today or tomorrow, do you think that he's going to be friends with the industry or anybody in this industry? No, he's not. You can't serve two masters. That's why when you see these private parties with these people, with their all white parties, and they show you the pictures and the images on Instagram, and they showing you their lifestyle, you're not invited there. But guess what? There's another door to the kingdom of heaven, and they're not invited in that door. So if I got to choose between the doors and the gateways, I'd rather make it to paradise with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala than make it to the hellfire with the shaitans. Because you could clearly see that in this day and time, when they abolished slavery, they didn't end slavery. All the house Negroes, but they entered the music industry. They still serving their master. The field Negro and the house Negro was not the same.
And what do you think is happening behind these doors? You think it's like drinking blood? You thinking it's like um, taking it, in the ass? Like, what do you think is going on exactly?
What did Nori say? Nori's words, because he's in the industry, he told you sacrifice, which means blood sacrifices, whether they sacrificing children or they make a blood sacrifice where they don't know who's going to be killed, and then the angel of death decides who they're going to take out of their family. And then what did he say? A little bit of homo that comes with bestiality, homosexuality, or you could just go straight. Nori told you. He made it clear. I decided to go on my own. And then he'll tell you what, podcasting saved his life. Because it was over for him in the music industry because it's controlled. Then what did Takashi say? The game is rigged. You have to sit down. You have to. I play these videos for a reason because it shows you what you're dealing with. So if you got to participate in such ugly acts to be in that industry, then why would I sit down with you?
Right. Do you think that Nori has joined that now?
They all are part of that. They're all part of that door. They're all being controlled. They all celebrate that lifestyle.
Who's at the top?
They're all one circle.
Who's at the top of all that?
Satan himself.
So Satan in the physical form.
Satan in a spiritual form.
Spiritual form, okay. So shifting gears, YouTube has afforded you the opportunity to make lots of money with your story. What is the end goal for you? Like, what would you like to happen?
I didn't make a penny off of my story. I made money off of celebrity gossip. That's where my money came in at. Talking about real life situations, they didn't pay me a penny. So when they seen how strong I was getting, it took me years to be able to make money off of YouTube. The last 3 years is where I really started making money. That's when I started making money. Like, okay, that's when the money started coming in. Once I started talking about celebrity gossip, they started pushing me. But then when they started realizing I was like exposing how the celebrities was doing their dirty work, and this is all a door, then they started like, oh, this nigga's too smart. He's waking up too many people.
So what is the end goal for you then? Like, what would you like to see happen?
I mean, the reality of it is I'm trying to pull as many people away from the hellfire. The most beautiful things are surrounded by the hellfire. I'm trying to save as many kids from going down the same path that I've been through. I'm trying to save as many of my people and make them understand that right now there's a battle for souls. Everything negative is being pushed on black people because black people are suffocating outside of a lifestyle of righteousness. Black people, children are murdering each other outside of a lifestyle of righteousness. A righteous man is equivalent to a fish. When you take a fish out of water, that fish will suffocate until you put him back in water. When you take black men out of a state of righteousness, look how our lives turn out. It's always bad. And even though you see all these celebrities celebrating the nightlife, they're not happy. They're not happy. You ever been up in a club? Go up in a club 2 or 3 nights in a row. That shit is not impressive. It's not.
Like, it's boring.
It is boring. On top of the fact that one half of the time you in a club, you in a room full of people that don't even like you.
Yeah.
Celebrating failure. See, the rich, they got something to celebrate. When they come together, there's a check. Somebody's cutting a check when you see them all in the room, sweating, drinking liquor, and taking selfies. But when your poor ass go to that club and you at the bar, spending $200 or $300 at that goddamn bar, knowing that you ain't even made that kind of money, and you taking away from you getting yourself out of the hood, getting your kids out of the hood, getting your mother out of the hood, you're caught in a spell.
Do you think that a lot of people they come into the industry not knowing what it is, and all of a sudden they feel stuck that they have to partake in these things in order to provide the lifestyle that they want for their family, or um, it's just a trap, all of it.
Most of these people that's in the industry don't take care of their family. They might take care of their wife and their immediate kids that live with them. They're not taking, people not doing nothing for their family. They're not doing nothing for the community. And every once in a while, just to get a tax write off or to make themselves feel, and they feel like a giant over you. They give you some book bags, come out, give you some sneakers and shit like that, corny shit. Truth of the matter is, black celebrities can't help black people. It's in their contracts. And the minute that you sit up there and you actually try to elevate black people to another level, they're gonna kill you, or they're gonna cut you off.
So you think that it's white people controlling the contracts, putting it in there that black people can't help black people?
I think that there's a. You don't really want me. I'm not gonna go into who's really doing it, because you're gonna lose your page. You don't want to go out like Kanye and be apologizing, begging for your monetization back. That's what's gonna happen to you. You know what I mean? Like I said, at the end of the day, the same people that killed Jesus is the same people that run this world. The same people that killed Jesus, when Jesus come back, and I mean this when I say this, man. When Jesus come back, Jesus is coming back with a vengeance. He's not coming back to be at peace. He's coming back to finish a war that was started when he was here.
So how did you find out who was behind everything?
Follow the money. Who controls hip hop? Then ask yourself a question: who you can't talk about?
You're saying the people that Kanye spoke about?
Of course.
Gotcha.
Of course. Like, come on, man. They own everything. You can't say nothing about them. You can't even pretend to say anything about them. You can't. But if you go, if you say, hey, yeah, I killed Mike, and they're gonna make a song about it, go to the studio, you get paid by them.
So what do you? Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Shouldn't that be against the law?
Yeah, definitely.
Shouldn't these platforms be held accountable? Shouldn't they be co-defendants? Because if I did something like that, if I took my money and I sponsored drill rappers doing this stuff on my own, when the FBI come in, they would charge me and seize my bank accounts. Why are they not doing that to these big corporations?
How do you feel about drill music and the culture that it represents these days? Because you grew up watching hip hop develop and everything, and it seems like there was more of a code before, like not celebrating necessarily pissing on your op's grave. You know what I mean? Like there's different things now that seems like there's no rules anymore.
Well, I mean, drill music. First of all, I don't like no song dissing the dead. I don't represent that. I refuse to represent something that like that. Now the drill music. There's drill music that got dope drill beats, but for the most part, I've heard some cool drill songs. But for the most part, like my era of hip hop, you can't is impeccable. You can't beat that.
Right, and the way that the culture has changed in the way that certain things are accepted that back in the day would not be accepted, right? Like somebody like a Takashi, or these situations with the YSL case and everything. What is that like for you to witness hip hop now being okay with those things?
Well, I mean,
because in the 90s and everything, like if those type of situations happen, your career is over.
the '90s, we stood more on the foundation of strength and honor. But at the same time, in the '90s, you started to see your outposts. You had your Nicky Barnes. You see what I'm saying? So that was the beginning. It was the beginning of the end of what dudes standing tall. My era was the beginning of the end of dudes standing tall. And then you got to keep in mind what the FBI did was they hit so many black communities. You hit the leader, you take the head, the body falls. So they took a lot of the heads, a lot of the brothers that were strong, that gave you something to look up to, that made you respect and you wanted to follow in their footsteps. And then they left the kids raising the kids.
Mm.
Then on top of that, so you got to understand something as well, right? Most of the people out here fighting ain't fighting for nothing that like when they say it in Spartacus, give me a glorious death. Nobody out here is fighting for something that you could say, if I died, I'd be a martyr. It's all nigga shit. Nigga shit with nigga mentality.
When you say that kind of mentality, can you give an example of what you mean by that?
The whole rap game, nigga shit. Nigga shit. To go in a like, I remember when one of them YouTubers was trying to call me dysfunctional, and they all said, "Oh, that nigga dysfunctional," and I had to break down to them. Now they saying my shit. Most black people are dysfunctional. For you to go in a studio, and every time you go in the studio, you writing a rhyme about selling drugs to your own people and shooting somebody that's struggling just like you, nigga, you're evil. You're dysfunctional.
So you don't buy the excuse of, hey, this is what I witnessed growing up. This is like me being a reporter saying things that I experienced and other people experience and how they could relate to it.
Most of these niggas that's still writing that shit is in their 30s and 40s and 50s now. It's dysfunctional. It's dysfunctional. Because the truth of the matter is, half these niggas that sit up there, them young boys, they bout that. These older niggas are full of shit.
Right.
Because if you told them, yo, let's get in the car, we 4 deep right now, we all got guns, and we gonna go air some shit out. Them niggas ain't getting in no goddamn car. They don't want to go to jail. They just want to sell you a gangster persona. Half these rappers ride around. You'll see some of these dudes ride around with they niggas, and then they got undercovers with them too. They got police with them too. Some of these dudes, you'll see them with their crew, but they got police with them too. You better understand that.
You know, back in the 2000s, they said hip hop police were like actual people that just watched hip hop and paid attention to the rappers and everything. Now they're saying that they're actually plants in the industry, right?
There's always been FBI. There's always been plant. They never allow a black person to be famous and not watch them, not control them. A wealthy black man, a black man with money, and a black man with the mindset of Tupac Shakur is always going to be an enemy.
What about somebody like a Diddy or a Jay-Z?
Have you seen Diddy and Jay-Z with their billionaire power do anything for the black community? No. All they do is push the agenda.
When you think about hip hop, right? I don't know if you know who Jason Whitlock is. He's a analyst for basketball, but he has said that hip hop is one of the worst things that ever happened to black people.
It is.
Why do you think that?
Listen, words are spells. If you remove hip hop, I guarantee you have more scientists, you have more doctors. You have grown men, right? When you look at, first of all, look at the movies, right? Look at the movies. Black movies versus white movies. Every black movie is the same. It's sick and tired. Every black movie is the same. It's the same thing. Shoot 'em up, bang, bang. Damn near every black rapper, every song is the same thing. We don't have no more DOS effects, EPMD. We don't have no more Tribe Called Quest. Even with LL Cool J, his own style. Everybody else had their own flow. LL Cool J was the ladies' man. Run DMC, walk this way, talk this way. It used to be a lifestyle. Now look at it. Everything is egotistical. Words are spells. When you sitting up there and you rapping a song and you talking about killing somebody, and you die, you're going to reap the reward for that song even in your grave. Every child that you influence from your grave to follow that song, that's your blessings in the grave, good or bad. Those book of deeds is going to follow you to that grave. You can't even let your children listen to this shit.
Yeah, and I think that a lot of people, once they get older, they start to realize kind of the negativity that exists in the music that you once praised when you were younger.
Right.
So, do you think that that just creates a vicious cycle of destruction?
It already created. Look at the drill era. Look at the drill rappers. Look at how many drill rappers died, and look how many drill rappers is in jail right now. Look at it. I've never seen nothing in this, like this in my life.
Right.
K Flock was about to be one of the biggest things that happened in New York City in a long time. He's in jail for killing somebody on camera. D Thing was on his way to being one of the biggest acts. These young boys brought hip hop back, or rather the drill scene back to New York City. He's in jail, federal racketeering. He's in jail for gangbanging. Then the flip side, it's too many that rappers to name. That's the energy that comes with this. You don't see R&B singers going to jail like this and dying like this. No other culture is dying like this.
And R&B doesn't really exist like that anymore either.
It does in concerts. It does in our households. It don't exist on the radio. They took the love out of the stations. They took the love off of the TV. No more Bill Cosby, but they give you Tyler Perry. Every Tyler Perry show is a breakup show. Bill Cosby was about the family. Best TV show in history ever, The Cosby Show. Everybody wanted to be a part of that family. Now look.
Right. That was America's Dad. Right.
Yeah.
What is the key to fixing it then?
Turn the radio off.
So you think that getting rid of hip hop entirely would fix it?
No, I'm putting the balance back in because okay, you can express yourself through music, but whatever happened, like I said, the 50th year anniversary of hip hop, why nobody performed Self Destruction or All in the Same Gang? Two songs that was two of the most powerful songs in the era where we needed it. Why not use that energy? Those songs pushes an energy that the youth need to hear. Self Destruction. Words are spells. So now if you sit up there all throughout the day, you're headed for self-destruction, and you listen to the lyrics of self-destruction, that shit was powerful. So now if you saying, hey, I'm headed for self-destruction, in your mind psychologically, you say, hey, you know what? I'm going to do the opposite. I'm not going down that path. You're being tricked out of your freedom through the radios. And now they so dirty with it, they blaming the algorithm. So if it's the algorithm, what the fuck you got DJs on a radio station for then?
What is the key then to fixing the inner city at this point?
For one, income. Because you're going to always have a crime rate if you don't have income. For two, education. And I'm talking about not what they teach you on the board of education, because most people leave out of the board of education feeling stupid. You don't know nothing. In order for black people to be successful, we need to understand where we came from. And even our history, we being lied to.
Right. So you talking real history? You talking about like real like financial literacy classes, or what do you mean?
I'm talking about, for one, when you study history, right? Or when you look at you go, let's say the walls of the pyramids, right? When you read the walls of the pyramid, it shows you that all the technology that we have here right now, we already had. Thousands, millions of years ago, that technology was here. So now you have to reevaluate everything that they ever taught you. If you don't know where you came from, you don't know where you're going.
That's facts.
We are the only ones on this earth that have to pay to live. Why are we paying for electricity when we got free solar power or solar energy? Why are we paying rent and mortgages when it should be free to live? Why we all don't have a mini farm and land? There's more than enough land on this earth for everybody to have enough land to feed themselves. Why do we keep going to the supermarket? Why is all the labels on the foods in America banned in other countries? Why did 5,000 Jews take off of work the day of 9/11? Why did they create machines like HARP that causes earthquakes? Why do they have machines called Project Blue Beams that causes holograms in the sky with laser technology? Why do they have a portal called CERN that can destroy the world? Why would you create nuclear weapons and nuclear bombs to crack this earth in half?
Right.
Who are those weapons for? Is World War III really about China, Russia, and America and British? Or is World War III on the people? Why is there a pattern for AIDS? Why is there a pattern for COVID, meaning that somebody owns the pattern of it, that it was man made? Why are we standing in line to see the same doctors that made you sick? Why are they giving us the antidote? Why are these questions not being asked?
Because I think most people are sheep, like you said. They don't think for themselves. They like being told what to think.
Why was America accused of causing the earthquake in Haiti? Why is America being accused of causing the fires in Hawaii? Why is America invading all these countries? Why was we in Afghanistan? Based on a lie. Why did we have war with Iraq? Based on a lie. Why did we watch Muammar Gaddafi be murdered on TV? Images of his body all over the newspaper. See, there's questions that we definitely need to ask if we look in the right places. There's a bigger picture going on in this world. It's either you're going to have the nigger mentality or you're going to have that galactic mentality, or you hear the stories about, submarines going down into the water or ships going into space. And then meanwhile, in Niggerville, with the real niggas and bad bitches, they just standing on the corner listening to music. You'll never be great as long as you keep chasing the rap game. You'll never be great. You're just going to be a rapper. The world don't need another rapper. Our ancestors built this world, and now we celebrating with celebrities getting their name on a street sign, on a pole, but don't own the block. The most backward shit. They'll give you a street sign, which is another way of them calling you a nigger. And we too stupid to realize it. But they won't give you back your own 40 acres and a mule. They say, you know what? This land is your land. We're going to give y'all back the whole Harlem.
What is that like for you? Because you're clearly intelligent in that way that you're a self-thinker. You're not following people on the regular path and everything. You think outside of the box, clearly. What is that like for you to go back to the hood, and you got, your people in the hood, you got lots of friends there, I'm sure, and they still thinking the regular way?
Well, I mean, Jesus never gave up on his people, so I can't. When you seen Jesus, you seen him sitting with the poor.
Right.
When you see Fat Joe, you see him sitting with the rich. When you see Puff and Jay-Z, you see him sitting with the rich.
So do people look at you weird or a certain way when you start to try to talk to them about these type of things?
Some people do, but you just got to know who to talk to, because some people don't want to hear what you have to say. Some people don't even like you. Some people don't even like your energy. They just want to see. I'm a good person. When I'm up, everybody up. When I'm down by myself. So when some people is just around me for what they could get from me, and that's it.
Mhm.
They don't care about me. I mean, I'm not Poppy from back in the days anymore, where I could run around with two guns on me and shoot shit up. I'm a celebrity now, whether people like it or not. I made something of myself. I'm a household name.
And are you proud of that? You proud of reaching this status, the level that you are at right now?
Honestly speaking, I am, because the people that reach out to me on a daily basis tell me how I affect their lives. So yes, I'm very proud. I had some minor setbacks on this internet. Y'all done seen me crash out a few times, but that comes with the territory, with all the things that I've been through.
All right, Hassan. Before we end the interview, is there anything else that you want to talk about?
Well, I mean, we say that for part two. I mean, this is just the beginning. At the end of the day, there's a hell of a lot to talk about. We can't get everything on this one live right here. I think there's a lot of things that we definitely could have talked about. Honestly, I think that you know, on another day, this. Believe me, if it be the will of God, I'm just beginning. So it's gonna always be something to talk about, man.
Respect that, bro. Man, I appreciate you for your time and everything. You didn't have to do this, but you did me a solid and chopped it up with me. So I appreciate you, man.
No doubt, no doubt.